protects all we are. And I the healing voice of God, the healing voice protects all we are, protects all we are.
That was a great way to start today. So today, Rebecca Abraxas is our musician. Nina Abernathy is our chaplain today. And I'm Lori Smith. I'm the spiritual leader here. And I want to welcome all of you being here on such a cold day. So thank you for showing up, because it's your love and energy that really makes this spiritual community what it is. So I appreciate all of you so much. And first we'll start with our statement of faith. Join me. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And so today is the first day of Advent, and Advent is the 4 sacred weeks leading up to the Christmas season. And it just filled with hope and expectation and kind of a time for spiritual readiness. It invites us into just a quiet moment with the soft glow of the candles, a time to reflect and pray, a time for some good acts, goodwill and generosity for our fellow human beings. And it's definitely a time to go inside and listen to the soul. It is such a wonderful moment when we think about hope, and we think about just allowing that place within us to hold a space for hope and to hold a space for the light that's always seeking to come into us. So I'll light our first candle, our Advent candle. And this is the candle for hope.
Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
Hope and faith for the Advent season. I walk by faith and live each day with hope in my heart. As Advent begins, I center myself in hope and feel my faith grow strong. I marvel at Mary's faith as I think about the mental, emotional, physical and spiritual aspects of her journey to Bethlehem to have her child. She must have felt frightened to hear what the angel had told her, but faith allowed her to take each step with peace. Like Mary, I may wonder why I am facing certain events, and like Mary, I live in faith. When I have doubt or uncertainty, no matter what is going on in my life, my faith in the power of spiritual living gives me renewed hope that God is with me. I am reassured that along every journey, no matter how long, the highest good is unfolding. For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is from Him. Hope is so much more than wishful thinking. It is a light in darkness, a whisper in silence, a shelter from life's storms. Even if I struggle to muster the faith that a troubling time will end, I can find hope that there will be a brighter tomorrow. Keeping a positive expectation for a brighter future buoys me in the present. Hope helps me remain present in the world as it is while working toward the world I wish to help create. My mood is lighter and my future feels brighter. I feel the presence of divine guidance as I move in the direction of a better day.
No amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home.
Thank you so much. Very pretty. So a preacher showed up for church and noticed that in the nativity scene that they had set up, baby Jesus was missing. And so he starts to look around and he sees that there's this little boy pulling a wagon and there's baby Jesus in the back of the wagon. So he goes up to little Tommy and he says, "Where did you get baby Jesus?" And little Tommy says, oh, I got him from the nativity scene. And he said, well, what are you doing? And he said, well, I prayed to baby Jesus. If I got a little red wagon, I would give him a ride around the block. So we got his little red wagon. He was giving him a ride around the block. So I thought that was so sweet. So today on this first Sunday of Advent, we light this candle of hope, and we just hope that its flame awakens the highest within us and connects us to spirit, divine spirit, renews the hope that guides our path. Together over the next 4 weeks, we begin a journey of inner transformation and divine possibility. We embrace this season as a celebration of new life, an awakening of our Christ consciousness, and with open arms, we step into faith, trusting that the light we carry is precisely the light that the world needs today. So today I want to talk about the historical meaning of the candle of hope, what the spiritual meaning of hope, and how do we nurture that in our everyday lives. So some have traced the origin of the Advent as far back as the 4th or 5th century, but most would agree that Advent we've come to know and the symbols that we use started around the Middle Ages. And that's when the Catholic Church adopted that practice. But it's a way to prepare our hearts and our minds for Christmas. The word Advent itself comes from the Latin word adventus. It means arrival. And we prepare for the arrival of Christ. The wreath itself represents eternity and everlasting life, a circle that never ends, and the purple color of the candle symbolizes anticipation and preparation. So the first candle of Advent signifies the promise of the Messiah and the hope that he brings into this world. The reason for this is due to a prophet, Isaiah, which is in the book in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Scriptures. And Isaiah lived about 700 years before Jesus. And I thought this was so amazing because of what transpired in his life around this story that we're talking about today. But when he was a young man, he had this vision. They called him Jehovah. And it was a very majestic, holy vision. And he felt called to serve God. So he heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" Then he says, "Here am I, send me." And that might sound a little familiar. That's the song we actually use for our chaplain installation. So Isaiah represents the higher self. When the spiritual consciousness is awakened, the state of being in which we don't fluctuate in our allegiance to the spiritual, but remain steadfast through even trying conditions. The prophet Isaiah exemplified this consciousness throughout the years of his ministry. And the people, there's one of the verses in Isaiah, it's chapter 9, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. So the light is the true understanding that has dawned upon them, that there is a divine identity within them and a spiritual consciousness that can be developed. So Isaiah foretold a story of a young woman who will have a son whose name is Emmanuel. It means God is with us. And it signifies that divine spirit is present to protect his people. And then the most familiar of Isaiah's prophecies is when he foretells the coming of the Messiah. And the Greek word Christos has the same meaning, the anointed one. So in Isaiah 9, you might recognize it from chorus Handel's Messiah. For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. So these passages from Isaiah was taken as a prophecy of the birth of Jesus. And in the New Testament, Jesus of Nazareth is portrayed as the royal figure whom Isaiah foretold. So in him was the full expression of the Christ or spiritual nature of man. Messiah later became identified with a future heir of David who would restore David's kingdom and vindicate what they called Yahweh or God's people. The expression of hope was about a better life for God's people when Jesus arrived. So in Isaiah 32, the Messiah or the Christ is to unfold in everyone's lives when through prayers and righteousness have the awareness of divine spirit within. So this was written about 700 years before Jesus was actually born. And I thought that was a pretty amazing story. But when we celebrate Advent, we light the candles for hope, peace, love, and joy. So there are these 4 Advent spiritual qualities. And today we'll focus on hope. And the next few weeks we'll talk about peace, love, and joy. They are qualities of Christ's Spirit which are inherent in each one of us. These 4 qualities are the rewards that come from living a spiritual life. And as I live my own spiritual life in greater ways and I practice and study, I'm noticing kind of a shift in awareness of these spiritual qualities in myself and also in others. So for a moment, I'd just like you to think about the times and places in your own life where you may have given up hope. Just kind of think back about that. A time maybe when you'd given up on the idea that it could ever be better than that. Today we light this candle of hope for all of us. For those times in our lives where we have given up or felt like we've been knocked down, this candle holds hope for us all. What the power of hope does for us is that it gets us back up. It lifts us up on our hardest day until the infinite possibilities can begin to reveal themselves. The belief in something greater sustains us. And what God has promised all of us is that we can live with hope. It's a requirement to live a greater life, a bigger life. And the moment hope dies, our life gets smaller, and we begin to limit our own possibilities. But when we light this hope candle, things that didn't seem possible a moment ago now become possible. So I want to tell you about Andrea Bocelli. His story reveals that success often waits beyond the point where most people surrender. It reminds us that our darkest moments of doubt might be a turning point toward our greatest achievements. Bocelli's mother was advised to actually terminate her pregnancy because the doctor had said the baby might be born with some disabilities, but she refused. And later in his life, a music teacher even told him that he had no talent for singing. Amazing. But he was born with a congenital glaucoma, and he struggled with that growing up. And then at 12, he had a really bad accident, and he became completely blind. While most might have been consumed with despair, he chose music as his lifeline. And by day, he was studying law as he got older to provide stability. And then by night, he was going into piano bars and barely earning enough actually to survive, but finding that music was the calling in his life. And that double existence, lawyer in the courtroom, dreamer behind the piano, nearly broke him actually. The hours were long. But his voice that was recorded for a demo really stunned Luciano Pavarotti. And that really kicked off his career. So thank goodness he didn't quit before that happened, right? Because what seemed impossible a moment before he listened to that recording now became possible for Andrea. So today, Andrea Bocelli is not only one of the greatest voices for our times, but he's also a great symbol of resilience and hope. So I asked, are we going to sit around and hope for something? But that isn't what hope is. Hope is more than wishful thinking. And I love this. Once you choose hope, anything is possible. And that was actually by Christopher Reeves, which, if you'll remember, was in a bad accident and was paralyzed. So he definitely is a hope and resilient type person. But hope is a choice. It accepts reality while still leaning into possibility. And hope is saying yes to the goodness of God. In Hebrew chapter 11, it says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." So faith doesn't work if you don't have hope in your heart for a greater day or a brighter future. Hope is the act of believing when you don't know how it's going to work. So there is a story about Lori and Russ Kenny. They'd lost everything in the California fires. And she tells a story that they were going to go back to their home. The firemen allowed them into the area. And she remembers driving by all of their neighbors' homes, and all you see is standing are some chimneys. And they get to their place, and there wasn't anything left from their home either. She found a couple of metal plates that her son had brought back from Europe, but pretty much everything was gone. And they even had this large inspirational library that they had built up, and all of that was gone too. So the wind began to kick up and all the ashes around them, and Russ said, "It's time. We have to go. With all this ash kicking up, we have to get out of here." So as Lori is walking back to her car, she starts to pray. "God, how do we survive this? How do we go on?" It felt as if their lives had been wiped out by this fire. And she said she really wanted to call it quits. She just didn't think she could get up. She just didn't think she could do this. So when she got to the car, she got inside, there was this little piece of paper stuck to her boot. And she pulled it up to look at it. It was all covered in soot, and said Anna. You could tell it had been burned. But there was a little quote on the little piece of paper that she saw. It said, "If life seems difficult, I pause and reflect on the blessings sometimes hidden within every circumstance. With renewed faith and courage, I will begin again." So you think, how is that possible? She's praying to God. She's feeling so down, so broken. She walks to her car, she gets in the car, and at the bottom of her shoe, she finds this little quote. I just think, this message for her soul, for just that moment, is divine intervention. So what are some simple things that we can do to encourage the practice of hope? How can we nurture this spiritual quality? So there's a couple suggestions. We can always turn inward. Self-awareness is a powerful driver of hope. Notice your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, shaping the story that we're telling ourselves at that time, and just spending a few moments each day in prayer and meditation, just listening to that still small voice, quiet reflection or journaling. It just helps us to connect to spirit, and what matters most can ground you in possibility. Protect your internal environment. So before opening yourself up to the world's stories each morning, turning on the news, before you do that, begin with something that steadies you. So a moment outside, connection with someone you love. Nowadays, we can even do Zoom with someone we love if we need to do that with someone far away, or a practice of gratitude. We aren't ignoring the challenges that are facing us or the difficulties, but we are choosing to create a hopeful space within ourselves, having faith that we have resources within us to navigate what comes. Remind yourself what is good and possible in the world. So sometimes I think when we're focusing on the news, we forget that there's a lot of wonderful, beautiful things happening. Remind yourself of those stories. Share those stories of resilience and possibility. And your willingness to hold and express hope ripples outward. It impacts people around you, uplifts them. So help them to see what is possible. I would see this as divine spirit working through you to help others. And even with the noise and the negativity or uncertainty that might be around us, we can still choose hope. Hope isn't something we wait for. It's something we practice intentionally, even when times are difficult. I would say especially when times are difficult. It's a personal anchor and a collective force. So sometimes we just need someone to hold it with us. So I have a picture here, and you're probably wondering, why are we showing this in church? Picture of frogs. But I have a little story for you. A group of frogs were traveling through the forest when two of them fell into a deep pit. Now, when the other frogs saw how deep the pit was, they told the two frogs that there was no hope left for them. However, the two frogs ignored their comrades, and they proceeded to try to jump up and out of the pit. However, despite their efforts, the group of frogs at the top of the pit were still saying that they should just give it all up. They're never going to make it out. Well, eventually, one of the frogs took heed of what the other ones were saying, and he gave up. He was jumping even deeper to his death. The other frog continued to jump as hard as he could. And once again, the group of frogs are yelling at him to stop the pain and just die, just give it up. But he ignored them, and he jumped even harder, and finally he made it out. And when he got out, the other frogs are saying, "Did you not hear us?" And the frog explained to them he was deaf and that he thought they were encouraging him in the entire time, and that helped him to jump out of the pit. So when we hold space for hope and possibilities for others, it encourages them to have hope. And even though the frogs in this story didn't do that, the frog that jumped up to safety thought they were. So the point of the story is to be the hope for others. So when the world says give up, it's a little hard to read, but I love the saying. When the world says give up, hope whispers, try it one more time. We need hope, like it's necessary. And the promise is every Christmas season, as we await the birth of Christ, as we awaken to the Christ that is within us, one of the qualities that we will be given, that will be revealed to us, that will be expressed through us, is hope. So this week, what I hope that you will do is to light that inner candle of hope. In the places in your life that are most difficult right now, places where you have disappointments, see yourself lighting that candle for yourself in your heart and your soul. And know that it's okay to have hope, that God has a greater promise for you. And as we call forth that we are people of hope, our lives are better in every way. So let's take that into a time of meditation. Just invite you to relax in your chair. Allow it to support you in a comfortable position. Rest your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Breathe in a few deep breaths, and with each exhalation, release any tension, concerns, negative thoughts. Breathe gently and easily, just noticing the rhythm of your breath. We quiet our minds and become still, allowing this feeling of peace and comfort to relax every muscle in your body, from the crown of your head to your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, your chest, arms, torso, legs, and into your feet grounded to the floor. Turning within to the sacred space where we are centered in spirit. We move our thoughts into a holy, sacred space. Just feeling the power and the presence of divine spirit that dwells everywhere within everything and expresses through you. Envision lighting your own inner candle for hope. Think about lighting your own inner candle for hope in the place where you need hope the most in your life at this moment. For that part of us that gets jaded, where we're feeling there is no hope or possibilities in sight. Now picture yourself lighting that candle and see within your soul that hope lives. We light the candle for hope to affirm for ourselves and for the whole world that with God there is always a room for hope. Hope for a bigger possibility, hope for a greater day, hope for more love, more peace, more joy. We open a space in our heart for hope that there is a way that divine spirit could fulfill that need, your heart's desire. Just feel the power of hope beginning to shift your view and lift you up. As we move into a moment of silence, I choose hope. I hold a space for hope within my heart, and I choose to be hopeful for others. So gently come back to this space. Hear the sounds in the room. Gently moving your hands and feet. You can open your eyes when you're ready. Divine Spirit, we are so grateful for the many blessings of Advent and for the power of hope in our lives and in our community. And so it is. Amen.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We are one now, we are one now, we are one now, we are one now. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We are one now, we are one now, we are one.
So now is the time that we move into offertory blessing. We accept donations by check or cash or little square in the back. There's also one that connects to our website. And just know that we appreciate everything that you give, the ways we financially support Unity on the Avenue, and the many ways that we volunteer and do things for our church and for our larger community, because we also give some of this money for other nonprofits. Know that it is very much appreciated. Everything you do is appreciated. So join me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Show me the way, won't you show me the way of love? show me the way. When I wake up, tired and weary, feeling triggered and teary, bless my soul, bless my heart, bless the roads that I walk, show me the way. Peace in my heart, and I know I'm not separate or apart. Show me the way. When my moods get the best of me and light me up, set me free. When I'm walking in fear, let me know relief is near. Show me the way. Ooh, show me the way. Won't you show me the way of love? Show me the way. Where there's peace in my heart, and I know we're not separate or apart. Show me the way. 'Cause I don't wanna walk another day without peace and love in my heart. Oh, show me the way. Show me the way.
Thank you. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. We have a beautiful song to finish.
So this is "A Came Upon the Midnight Clear," a little Christmas carol. If you know it, feel free to sing along. Singing out for all to hear brings on Christmas cheer. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to man, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above the sad and lonely plains, their band on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babel sounds the blessed angels sing.